Genesis 1:1 and 1:2 also describes childbirth, the echoing of creation itself. There is hidden wisdom in these first two verses about childbirth. At the start of our deep dive into Cain and Abel, we spoke about the sacred bond between a husband and a wife, as to why that bond should be strictly shared between those two people and nobody else. Genesis 2:24 tells us that a man will leave his mother and father and will cleave unto his wife, and they will be one flesh. These words right here explain the first two verses of Genesis. As husbands and wives, it's a duty given by God to echo these two verses. A husband will cleave unto his wife, and they will be one flesh. That one flesh symbolizes a child, the creation of life, when two shall become one. Now, I hope I'm not looking into it too deeply here, but if it's interesting, it's interesting that two become one in this instance. Men and women are designed this way. God did this intentionally because creation, it's a sacred act. It's a sacred act. It's a sacred act that we as human beings must continue because we're made in His image. Life is brought into existence by this sacred act, but how exactly? Well, to answer that question, we need to look at the biological makeup of men and women. Let's start with women. Women are undoubtedly more emotional than men. The amount of emotions a man feels is nothing compared to what a woman feels, which means that on an emotional scale, women are larger than men. What they feel is more complex. It's more consuming, so to speak. Like space. On a physical level, women are designed to act as space, the cosmic void. God uses the word matrix to describe the womb. And we know that womb is literally a definition for the word matrix. And God makes that quite clear in Exodus 13 verse 12 and 13 verse 15. Thou shalt set apart unto the Lord all that openeth the matrix, and every firstling that cometh of a beast which thou hast, the male shall be the Lord's. Exodus 13 verse 15. And it came to pass, when Pharaoh would hardly let us go, that the Lord slew all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both the firstborn of man and the firstborn of beast. Therefore I sacrifice to the Lord all that openeth the matrix, being males, but all the firstborn of my children shall I redeem. I redeem, my bad. The imagery used to describe the womb is to paint a picture of vastness. It's cosmic, it's like space. The womb represents space. It represents that void, that chaos. It's the infinite. It's the infinite. Now we understand that. You can look into the biological makeup of males. Compared to women, men are significantly different. Men feel less compared to women. If you were to use a pentagon to symbolize the amount of emotions men feel, then women would be a dodecahedron, which tells us men are the opposite of women. Men are not symbolically this cosmic void, which begs the question, what are they? Men are those who have to walk more in the image of God. That can be taken one or two ways. That can be taken the wrong way. It's because God is a man, meaning they were made closer to His image. We can look at it this way. When we spoke about the creation story, everything we said, God is that which extrapolates meaning and beauty from the void, from the cosmic chaos. And this is how human life is brought into existence. It's the man who goes into the woman, not the other way around. Man physically goes into the woman, into the void of chaos, and brings forth meaning and brings forth beauty, which is represented by the child. This is why intimacy is so sacred. It should be kept strictly between husband and wife, man and woman. And that's not to offend anyone. I'm not trying to offend anyone. I'm not trying to offend anyone. But this is too true to deny. I'm saying this so your eyes will be opened. This is why adultery and fornication are such dangerous sins on a spiritual level. There are two reasons. First, is that you are opening yourself up to the other person's demons. It's one way demons get transferred. One way demons are transferred. Demons love to watch you fall. It's just one of the ways they use you. If you have a demon and you commit fornication with another person, that person's demons have just gone onto you. You've just swapped demons. Now that person's unclean spirits are attached to you, and the door has just been opened. And it makes that oppression harder to break, because you're in deeper now. You're in deeper, and those demons have attracted the demons of other people, which results in all the demons hanging out while you defile yourselves and suffer under their affliction. Have you ever been in that situation where you're trying to overcome lust? You've kept yourself upright. You've been going strong, you've been doing really well. You're reading your Bible more, you're spending more time with God, and out of nowhere, someone hits you up. Person you haven't spoken to in ages, out of the blue, just shows back up. That right there is the devil trying to get you to fall back into sin. It's the devil trying to drag you down. So he used certain people as open doors in an attempt to drag you back. The second reason it's so dangerous is because you are making a mockery of creation. As we've just discussed, intimacy is the echoing of that sacred act of creation. It's the reenactment of how God created everything, and it's not to be mocked or done in vain. Meaning this reenactment is too sacred to be thrown away by you getting drunk and sleeping with someone at a party, which results in you having an abortion 2 weeks' time. That's aimed towards the guys as well. It's too sacred to be wasted in the heat of the moment at the expense of the desires of the flesh. Because now the life that God had intended to use has just been sacrificed on the altar to Moloch. I got that from Pastor Vlad. Abortion clinics are the altars of Moloch. You spend your time in fornication, worshipping Ashtaroth, celebrating Ashtaroth in these sinful, fleshful ways. We even have a holiday. Actually, no. I think we have two. Valentine's and Easter. Easter, I'm not 100% sure on Valentine, but Easter is the celebration of Ashtaroth, where people would go on mass whorings. Like the whole day, it was just a celebration of sex. Like women would be tied up, raped publicly. It's got nothing to do with Jesus. It's got nothing to do with Jesus. It's a celebration of sex. Same with Valentine's. It's a pagan celebration of sex. So you partake in Ashtaroth worshipping. You're given a child. You go and put it through the fire. The abortion clinics. You wanted to waste that sacred act of creation, and now, boom, you're off sacrificing to Moloch on his body, on his altars. When you take the life of a child via abortion, and not only are you wasting that act of creation, but you are sacrificing the life of that child to Moloch. It was the Canaanites who used to burn their children alive for their sacrifices. They used to burn their children alive as a sacrifice to Moloch. And God didn't even conceive that. He didn't even think about that. And never even crossed his mind. He tells us that in Jeremiah. This is not the only time that comes up, but this is just the most appropriate version I could find. Jeremiah 32 verse 35. And they built the high places of Baal, which are in the valley of the sons of Hinnom, to cause their sons and their daughters to pass through the fire unto Moloch, which I commanded them not. Neither it came into my mind that they should do this abomination to cause Judah to sin. You know, I didn't write this down,